everyone, it's Lexi. In today's video, I'll be doing my review and discussion of A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. The way I'm going to be doing this video is I'm going to be splitting it up into two sections. The first one will be like my non-spoiler review, and then I'll have like my kind of spoilery discussion afterwards, so don't be worried if you're worried about being spoiled. I'll let you know way beforehand so I don't ruin it for you. But yeah, so this video is going to be a little different because I also made this my Tales and Teacups book club pick for the month. So if you want to participate in that, I have all the information down below, and then I'll do like my book club discussion video next month. So if you're interested in participating, all the info will be down below as well. Oh, and before I forget, I'm going to be doing a Get the Look for Farrah, and it's kind of based off of this makeup look. I'm going to dress up better. I'm just like, I wasn't feeling it today, but I'll do like a hairstyle. I did kind of the series with Hermione, like I Get the Look with the hair and makeup and all that, and I'll have like a nice flowy shirt as well. So if you are interested in seeing that, that will be up sometime in the next week or so. So yeah, don't forget to go check that out when it's up. When it's up, I will link it up in the cards so you can go check that out. So let's just go hop into the review. So for those who don't know, this is the third book in the Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy by Sarah J. Maas, and it follows a girl named Farrah who is a human, and she lives below the wall. So this wall separates the Fae and human worlds basically for the past like 500 years or so. And so when she's there, she's hunting in the forest, and she ends up shooting this wolf who ends up actually being a Fae. And so for like the life debt, she ends up being taken by Tamlin, who is the High Lord of the Spring Court, and then everything else kind of takes off from there. So I will be the first to say that I was not the biggest fan of A Court in Thorns and Roses. I found Farrah to be very naive and just very weak. Like, we got glimmers of like her, I guess her potential, I guess you could say. Like, we got snippets of it, but I don't know, like she was just very frustrating, and especially like because she was in an abusive relationship with Tamlin, so I did have a lot of issues with the first book. So however, continuing on the series was probably one of the best decisions that I could have made, because I absolutely adored the remaining two books of the kind of this part of the series. So I will say I enjoyed this series more than Throne of Glass. I feel, especially after the last book, when there's been such a disconnect, and I feel like all the characters are like not who they used to be, and I'm not a big fan of the love interest for Aelin, but I feel like I may enjoy this series a lot more than Throne of Glass, so I don't know. Let me know if you prefer the Court of Thorns and Roses or Throne of Glass series down below. So yeah, so I loved A Court of Mist and Fury, and this book I feel like it had a very high standard to be held to, just because I knew kind of the potential that this story had. But this book did not disappoint. I was very excited getting it. It starts off basically where the last one started off. So, like, I don't know, I don't want to spoil anything just in case you're unaware, but it picks up where the last book started off, and it was just really, really good. It's been a long time since I've been very engaged in a book as of late, especially being very invested in the characters, and this book was really refreshing. I was invested basically from the first page, and yeah, like, it was really good. I did feel like, I know people have been talking about this as well, just like kind of the problems that with Sarah J. Maas's books, like in terms of representation of like asexual characters, and just kind of like also kind of gay characters as well. And like I recognize that, and I feel like this book kind of does like show that she's trying to work on that as well. However, it is flawed. I will say it's not like the perfect book, but I really, really enjoyed it despite these flaws. And yeah, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The only thing is, I feel like the battle at the end was a bit like anticlimactic, and it was somewhat repetitive, and I would have enjoyed more of like a more battle scene, because I feel like it was just like, I don't know, but I really enjoyed it. I love how we got to get to know more of Farrah's sisters this time around. I know, like, I did not really like Nesta per se, like especially because she was very mean in the first two books, but I was like, there has to be something, like a reason why she's angry at this. So I liked how she ended up being probably one of my favorite characters as well. And I don't know, I liked how we got to see more of like kind of the courts like of the other High Lords, and we got to visit them, and we got to get more in depth of like what this world is like, the dynamics between the courts and the High Lords and all that, which I really liked. I think I also like, what was I gonna say? And I also kind of liked how we got more of Lucien as well. We got to see more characters that we were kind of mentioned later on, like earlier on in the series, and we kind of got introduced to them here as well. So yeah, like I really enjoyed it. I'm trying to think what else. I gave it a 5 out of 5. So this is kind of the conclusion for Farah and Rysand's storyline, but then the other 3 books are going to be from a different perspective. So I don't know, like I'm thinking, like in terms of Farah and Rysand, like their story was very like there's no opening ending, like it was like done, you could tell. But then for other characters like Moore and Lucien and like basically all the other characters, there was a lot of like open endings. So I think it can go either way. I'm kind of leaning towards maybe like Lucien kind of being the brother's perspective, because I feel like he has like a lot of other things to like, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot we need to learn about him, and I think he's probably one of my favorite characters of this. So yeah, like I said, I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. If you want to participate in the discussion for my book club, you can submit video files or kind of comment on the Goodreads group page. Then everything will be linked down below if you want to participate that sometime in June. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead into my spoilery discussion. And so yeah, I think it's really funny, especially from like, I kind of knew early on how like Tamlin was abusive. Everyone's like, oh, I love Tamlin, like he's so good, and now everyone's like, I hate him. And it was just like I feel like, I think it's interesting to see how kind of people were kind of blind to his kind of flaws in that, and like the abusiveness of it. And I don't know, like I think it's really interesting, especially now that kind of Farah is back in the Spring Court and she's trying to take him apart, like make them fall from the inside. I thought was really nice. I liked how like when she was killing the 2 cousins, like she ended up being trapped with Lucien, and I feel like Lucien basically pulled a Kale, like where he kind of disappears for an extended period of time, and like but he comes back at the end. But I feel like there is so much more that we need to like learn about him. We find out, kind of Farah figures out who his real father is, like the mating bond between Elaine and him, like what's gonna happen there. And then also kind of Elaine's kind of been kind of having a good relationship with Asriel. Like I hope it's not a love triangle, because I feel like that would just like, it would be very unrealistic. But I don't know, like I think Lucien is a very complex character, and I really like to kind of see more about him, because I still feel like there's a lot we need to know about him. And I don't know, like I felt like having the sisters in this one as well really changed the dynamic of it. Like I said, like I did not like Nessa. I don't think you're supposed to like her, but I feel like there has to be more to her that meets the eye. And I really like this about the series as a whole, like especially like Durian. I always want to say Julian, but that's not it. Durian. And especially kind of Tamlin as well. These people aren't really, like Tamlin still is really bad, and he has made a lot of mistakes, and he has a lot of issues that he needs to deal with. But I don't know, like I think it's interesting to see how people surprise you in a sense. Like I really liked seeing that as well. Just how these characters can kind of surprise you. If you think them one way, they can end up being surprising you. I'm trying to think. I really enjoyed the scene where all the courts met together and they were trying to figure out like what to do. I really enjoyed that part. Like that was probably one of my favorite scenes to read by, and I like how she kind of weaved in the other characters as well, like the minor ones, like the Weaver and then the Bone Carver. Like you didn't really think that there was anything significant to them like when you're reading them in the second book, but I liked kind of getting more out of them as well, and kind of the role that they played, and how the Bone Carver wanted her to get the mirror, not because he wanted it, because he wanted to see if Farah was worthy enough to help. And I really like that. I also like I don't know, like there's so many things I really liked about this book. I liked how there's a lot of character development, especially like for Nesta and Lucien, and like all the characters had a lot of development. I still feel like more was very underused, and I appreciated how she came out to Farah, but I still don't like how she's still dragging along like as real as all of this is going. Like it was just like, I understand, but like I don't know, like I understand, but it's like you're not doing him any favors. Like I can understand it's hard, but like you're hurting your friend, and is it worth it to have 5 like centuries of this going on and leading him on? I don't think that was really, I felt to be very problematic. And I don't know, like one of the biggest things with Sarah J Maas's book is how everyone is like a couple, is in a couple, and it would be nice to have someone who is just kind of by themselves, like, you know, just single. Like nothing's wrong with that. And I feel like, I don't know, like I feel like some of the relationships sometimes feel forced. I don't know, just because I feel like everyone needs, like, I don't know if like Sarah J Maas is like everyone needs to be with everyone. Like I don't know, I feel like that's really unrealistic in a sense. Like it would be nice if someone was just like on her own and like all that. But I also liked, I felt like we got like the big kind of thing at the end where Amarin like sacrifices herself in the cauldron and like all this stuff. I feel like that was very hinted on several times throughout this book, and how she'd have to like sacrifice herself and all that. But I like how she kind of came back, and like her gift would be like to actually like be a human, like that monster in her is gone. I really like that, but I felt like it was unrealistic how like no one really important died. Like I felt like it was just like, this doesn't seem right. So like of course like Cassian got hurt like 500 times, but he was like, you know, he bounced back like there's no tomorrow. And then like I don't know, like Azriel got hurt like several times, and it was just like, I don't know, like I feel like it was just very unrealistic that basically everyone kind of got off, like no one died. I still feel like more was underused. Like I still think like, or like especially like why was Farah not allowed to fight? Like I feel like she has a lot of powers that she could use, but they're like, no, you sit up on the top of the hill and just kind of watch. And it was just like, I don't know, like some parts were just like, why? And like how is it that no one died in here? Because I feel like more important people died in the first battle than this one, and I feel like this battle was much worse than the other one, so like it was just a little weird. Yeah, and I still like, I think for like a perspective, I don't know, like, and I think I would have enjoyed, like I wanted more from this battle, because like, you know, like this battle has been basically, we've been leading up to this battle basically over the course of like the whole like 3 books, and I feel like I wanted more. Like I feel a lot of it was from Farah's outside perspective, and so like we didn't really get to see like what was going on in battle, like what actually was going on. So I don't know, like it was a little weird how we weren't getting like a lot of that. It was very much an outsider perspective, so I would have enjoyed seeing more of like kind of what was going on the battlefield. And I don't know, especially like I like how kind of Nesta and Elaine were the ones who kind of killed the king, because although he's been causing a lot of problems in this world and he's caused a lot of harm, I feel like he personally violated Elaine and Nesta, just because he kind of like violated them from their human form. And I feel like it was good to kind of see that, like them to kind of end his life. And like I felt like kind of killing their father kind of just a little weird, because it didn't seem like, I don't know, I feel like they never really touched on their relationship with him, or they don't really mention him enough for you to become attached. So it's like, oh yeah, that's sad, but like what can you do? But yeah, the part where Rysand kind of drains, like they have to rebuild the cauldron after it exploded and all that, like I don't know, I was like something's gonna happen, like because they kept mentioning how like Rysand had like no power in him and like all this stuff, so I kind of knew like he would kind of drain himself, because he has this like innate ability to like sacrifice himself. Like he's just like this flaw of his. So like just kind of his sacrificing himself, felt like it was kind of obvious. And then how like she would kind of like beg them to like resurrect him like they did with her. And I did feel like it was a bit repetitive. It's like we've kind of already had this before, so like something maybe a little different, but I think to show full circle. But yeah, I think especially like with some of the opening endings, like what's gonna happen with Lucy and Elaine, like what's happening with the fall court with like Eris and like kind of taking over his father. Is Lucy gonna figure out who his real father is? I don't know. I feel like there's so many opening endings for like where this is going. So I'm interested to see like what the next book has as well, even though it won't be from Farrah and Bryce Sands. I'm sure they'll make an appearance somewhere, but I'm interested to see whose perspective the next one's going to be about. And yeah, I also hear that some people think these two books, like the Court of Thorns and Roses series and the Throne of Glass series, are more connected, are connected some way, just because the Bone Carver made a comment about an ancestor. So I don't know if you kind of know, like have a guess of how these two books are connected. I think it would be really neat if you link them down below. Let me know. I think that's all like really interesting. But yeah, I think overall, like I think I prefer this series over Throne of Glass. Like, I love Farrah so much more than Aelin. I feel like, especially after Empire of Shadows, like, Aelin is very distant, and I feel I liked the kind of minor characters more than, and I don't know, I don't really like Aelin's love interest, to be quite honest, but I really enjoyed this. I, like, pretty much enjoy most of the characters in this book. But yeah, so yeah, so that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know what you felt about this book. If you want to participate, just have your comments down below, or so you can send me an email with your video responses that I'll do next month. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.